everyone, Marky here from Capricorn Crafter. Happy New Year. Um, in today's video, we are going to go over the half double crochet. This swatch that I have here was from my first how-to video, and that was the single crochet. And I didn't complete this swatch. I only did a few rows on video with you, but this is the completed swatch. And as you can see, I'll bring it in closer. With this stitch, there really isn't a right or wrong side. And today we're going to do the half double crochet. And basically it's a little bit taller than the single crochet, but the half double crochet is basically a stitch that's in between the single crochet and the double crochet. Which is a stitch that we'll go over in another video. But today we're going to focus on the half double crochet. And today I am going to be using the Red Heart Super Saver yarn, and in this color is Buff. I wanted to use a color that you can see clearly on the video, and I didn't feel like the purple was clear enough. And so this is a more neutral color. I know black would be way too hard to see the stitches, and white isn't a good one, so this is like a in between. So we'll use this today. So as always, we're going to start with a chain stitch. And in my first video, I kind of went over how to get started. There's different ways to do the chain, or to do this, oh my gosh, the slip stitch to get started. So I'll link that up above in the eye up here so that you can reference back to that. And please be sure to check out that video if this is your first time. I go over a lot of information in that video. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. We have our slip knot on our hook, and you have your yarn. And as always, we're going to start with the chain stitch. So remember, we're going to row the boat. So we're going to row under the yarn and bring it up and over so that the yarn is then over, and we're going to pull this through. Now, make sure to check your tension, because you want something that's not too loose and that's not too tight, something that's right in the middle. If it's too tight, you won't be able to work back into your stitches, and if it's loose, your project will just be holey, and it won't be very strong or stable. So we have two chains, and with this stitch, we're going to chain 22. I believe in this one for the single crochet, I wanted a swatch that was 20 stitches, and we had to chain 21 to get that, because if you remember, we always skip the first stitch. So with this one, if we want 20 stitches, I'm going to actually chain 22. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have the first two, 1, 2, and again we're going to row the boat, bring it up and over. That's 3, that's 4, that's 5, that's 6, that's 7, that's 8, 9, and 10. And I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go for a little ride here while I zoom you in to get a closer look at that. Alright, ready? So we already have 10. Again, we're going to row. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm trying to go slow for you. I'm so sorry if it's too fast, but you can always slow it down or rewatch if you need to. So that was 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So that's 10 and 10. 10 plus 10 is 20. So now we're going to do 21 and 22. Alright, So let's go, let me give you the big picture first. Let's go about there so that you can see. So we have a chain now of 22 stitches, and again we can tell the stitches by the V's that it makes. Can you see the V's? Here's the top loop and the bottom loop of the V, and then the next one, here's the top loop and the bottom loop of the V. So there's two ways that you can work into your chain, and I think that I went over this in my first video, but we're going to go over it again. You can work it from the front side, or if you turn your chain over, you can see these back humps. It's called like the back humps of the chain or the back ridge, and it's personal preference. For me, it really depends on the type of project that I'm working on. But for today's video, we're just going to work on the top loops of these stitches. So in half double crochet, you're going to skip the first, I believe, let me double check here, give me 1 second. We're going to skip the first 2 chains and we're going to work into the 3rd chain, okay? So we're going to yarn over our hook. This is the first chain, we just completed that, so that's 1, 2, here's the second, and this is the 3rd. Excuse me, this is the 3rd chain that we're going to work into. So we're going to put our hook into the stitch, and I think I already mentioned this. We yarn over. Here's the first 1, 2, 3. We're going to put our hook in. Oops. 1, 2, 3. We're going to put our hook into that stitch. We're going to yarn over again, and we're going to bring up a loop. So now we have 3 loops on the hook. And then we're going to yarn over, row your boat, yarn over, and you're going to pull through all 3 of those loops. And that's your first half double crochet. So let's go ahead and work down the chain, and as I work down, I'm going to count out the stitches out loud. And again, if I go too fast, I'm trying not to. Oops, sorry, I moved the camera. I'm trying not to go too fast, but if I do, either pause to catch up, or you can rewind and watch. So we have 1 stitch already done. Oh, and since this is a beginner's video, we're going to put a stitch marker into this first one so we know that's our first stitch. Okay, and make sure to get both those loops because that's your stitch on top. Okay, so there's the first stitch, and let me grab another stitch marker for the other side. For just starting out, it's a good idea to mark your beginning and ending stitches so that way you know where to count. So there's 1. I'm going to yarn over, insert the hook into the stitch, yarn over. We have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, bring through all 3. Yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over. You have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, and bring through all 3. Okay, so that we have 1, 2, 3. Again, yarn over, insert the hook into the stitch, yarn over, and bring through all 3. Yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over, and bring through all 3. You want me to zoom in even more? Let's go for a ride. Okay. Again, we're gonna yarn over into the stitch. Oops, sorry, I was trying to view it from my camera. Insert into the stitch, yarn over. You have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and bring through all 3. Yarn over, insert into the stitch, yarn over, and bring through all 3. So let's continue on down the row. I'm going to count out loud as I go. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches so far. So 7, 8, 9. And you know, crochet really isn't about speed. I mean, once you get better at it, you'll pick up speed. Um, but it's supposed to be like nice and relaxing and give you a chance to kind of just unwind a little bit. So, don't worry if I'm going too fast or too slow. You know, everybody has their own speed, so you don't need to worry about that. Oops, let me get into the camera so you can actually see. So you don't need to worry about how fast or how slow you're going, and if you make mistakes, they're always easy to fix. Um, you know, it takes a lot of practice to get good. I've been doing this a long time. If you remember, maybe I didn't go over this. Oops, kind of got. I've been crocheting since I was a little girl, and even back then, like getting started was hard for me. And I'm left-handed, so that made it more difficult. Um, but then my great grandma kind of taught me the basics, and then I kind of put it off for a while, and now I've been self teaching myself. Well, I haven't been, I did a lot more in depth stitches. So, alright, let's go ahead and count our stitches and see where we're at. Do you remember how to do that? How to find your stitches? Remember, we marked our first one. So we just look up at the top and we look for the V's, for the 2 loops. Okay, so we have, here's our first one here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Okay, and that's what I wanted to have, was 20. Okay, so now what we're going to do is turn our work, and in not single crochet, in half double crochet, I have to check my notes because I haven't done this stitch in a long time. We are going to chain 2. Now, this is not going to be our beginning stitch, okay? So this isn't going to count as anything. So we turn our work, and we chain 2. 1, 2. And basically all that's doing is building the yarn to the height that we need it in order to continue doing this stitch. So that doesn't count as anything. So we chain 2, and what we're going to do is we're just going to continue back down the row. So yarn over, find that first stitch. Remember, this is 1, 2, this is your chain 2, so your first stitch is right here. Did you see that okay? This is our loop where our hook's going to be. This is our first chain here. This is our second chain that we just made, and this is our first stitch here. Okay, so what we're going to do is yarn over, insert our hook into that first stitch, and yarn over. You have the 3 loops again on your hook. You're going to yarn over and bring through all 3. Okay, so there's 1. And again, you're going to look for the top of your chain, or the top of the row here. And here's our next stitch. Can you see? So here's our next stitch. It's going to be right here. And can you see the V's that it makes? Here's a stitch, here's a stitch, here's a stitch. So we're going to yarn over. Remember, row your boat so it has the yarn. You're going to insert your hook into that stitch. You're going to yarn over, bring up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook. Sorry, that was my arm sliding on the table. You have 3 loops. Yarn over and bring through all 3. And so we're just going to continue that on down the row again. So there's 3, I think. Oh, let me mark that first stitch again. So this is, sorry, I didn't mean to deep sigh there into the phone or into the mic. So here's our first stitch, second stitch, third. So let's just, so I marked our first stitch. 1 stitch, 2 stitch, 3 stitches. And we're just going to continue. So 3, 4, 5. Can you see where I'm going? 5. I kind of just feel for it sometimes, and I know 5. It's kind of hard to when you've been doing it for so long to slow down and explain yourself because I know, like, I'm just looking at the front of the stitch and I know that if I go through here I'm going to grab both those loops. So that's what I'm kind of do, but I forget that I have to show you what I'm doing. So we're going to go through both of those loops, bring it through, and just continue on down the line here. Okay. I hope that these videos will help you as you go along your crochet journey. My plan is to have like a bunch of different videos of basic stitches and go more in-depth stitches and everything like that too. So there'll be a variety of stitches for you to learn. And all those stitches that you learn can make up many, 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 many different projects. So, oops, I was going to do a single crochet there. And that's okay, you just go pull it out and start over again. Okay, so we're just going to continue on down the row. I'm trying to stay in focus for you, I'm sorry. Sometimes it's hard for me to view it through the camera. And again, if I'm going too fast, just either pause or slow it down. I just don't want to bore you as I'm going down the row here. Okay, now we're at the end because this is our stitch marker of marking our first stitch. And let's see now how many stitches we have. Let me put this up here because this is the stitch that I just completed of where that stitch marker was. Okay, now let's count our stitches again. So this was our first one, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Great! If you have 20, fantastic. If you don't, that's okay. Pull out and try it again. But remember, our swatch is going to be 20 stitches. So that's good. Right, let me take that out for right now. If you have too many, go back and redo it. Just that row. You don't have to go back to the beginning. Okay? So now we're going to turn our work, and again, we're going to bring that yarn height up to where we need it. So we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. Okay? And then we're going to stitch in that first half double crochet stitch that we see. So again, yarn over and go into that first stitch, yarn over, you have 3 loops, yarn over and bring through all 3, and that's our first stitch. So we're going to put our stitch marker in there. Now I'm going to zoom out because I think you've seen it pretty enough close up. So let's continue down the row. 1, 2, oops, 3, 4, I'm stuck. Let's try that one again. And that happens. So you just kind of pull out and start over again. What am I getting hung up on here? Let's try it again. And you know what happens? Don't get discouraged. It happens. You just keep, it's okay. Don't get mad. You're just learning. You're just getting started. It's going to happen. Look it. I've been doing this for quite a few years and I'm still make mistakes or things happen and I have to, frog. We call it frogging because you're ripping rivet out. So you just keep working down the row. You're doing great. And again, I want you to practice this like I told you with the first one. Practice, I hope you have been practicing your long chain and getting your tension control. And, just practice makes progress. I heard somebody say that now, and I like it better than practice makes perfect, because nobody's perfect. And if you think that you are, well, you need a reality check, because nobody's perfect. So you just keep going. I by no means say that I am perfect at this, and I've been doing this for several years. I still question myself sometimes, okay? So I don't know if you saw that, but I just kind of moved the stitch marker out of the way to do that last stitch. So again, now for counting purposes, I'm going to put it in here, and we're going to see if at the end of the row, if we have 20 stitches. So let's check. Here's one. Here's our first one. It has our stitch marker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20 is where our last stitch is. And again, if you don't have the 20 stitches, that's okay. Either, tear out that row and do it again. Okay, so now we're at the end of the row. And do you remember what we have to do once we get to the end of the row? You gotta chain 2. Oh, well, first you gotta turn, and then you gotta chain 2. 1, 2. And if you want to turn before making the chain 2, I don't know. Sometimes I do that. Like, I don't know if it makes a big difference. Sometimes I'll chain 2 and then turn, or whatever. It's just basically getting your yarn to the height that you need it. So if you want to turn and then chain 2, or chain 2 then turn, I don't think it makes that big of a difference. I've never had issues with it. Alright, so now we're gonna find that first half double crochet. And can you find it? You're a bit further away. So, skip the first 2 chains. 1, 2, and this is our first stitch right here. Can you see it? Okay, so yarn over, insert your hook into that first stitch, yarn over, you have 3 loops, yarn over, and pull through all 3. Alright, so I am going to do a time lapse here of me going through this with some nice music, and we're gonna go until we get to 10 rows, and then I'll check in with you. I don't know if you've been keeping track, but right now we have 1 row, 2 rows, and 3 rows. Is that right? Let me turn it over and see. 1, 2, 3. And now we have 3 rows. So let's check in once you get to row 10. Okay, so I'm going to do a time lapse now. I'll see you in a little bit. Alright, welcome back. I've made it to row 10 and oops, sorry, I hit the camera. Trying not to. How are you doing? I'm at row 10. Can you see how it looks so far? I did want to let you know that with the half double crochet, it is a little bit easier to see the rows as compared to the single crochet, and once we get to the double crochet, it'll be even more easier to tell the rows. So I just zoomed in, and basically we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 10 rows. And let's see how it the size wise compared to the other swatch that we have. Now this swatch was 20 stitches, and I believe I did 20 rows. Sometimes, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oops. I believe I did 20. That's right. 1, 2. So let's see size wise. So now this is only 10 rows, and you can see already how, oops, you can already see how it's almost already the same size. And this is the half double is on top and the single is on the back. So this is 10 rows and this is 20. So you can see the difference. I don't know how much taller that is. And that might be a little bit looser too, but so let's keep going and let's do 10 more rows. Are you ready? You're doing great. You're doing such a good job. Just keep going, keep practicing, and I'll see you once we get 10 more done. See you in a bit. Alright guys, welcome back. So I have completed my swatch of the half double crochet. Actually, you know what? Let's do one more row together just to finalize this, and then I can show you how we're gonna end this. And then I'm gonna show you how to weave in yarn tails, because that's something that you'll need to learn for bigger projects, like if you're seaming stuff together and whatnot. So let's just do one last row here together. Chain two. I'm going to turn, yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over, bring through all 3 loops into the stitch, pull through all 3. That's 2, 3, 4, oops, 4, and see, that happens to the best of us. If you saw in the time lapse, if I did the time lapse, that I had some spots where that kept happening, and you just don't get irritated. Just keep going. It happens. Your yarn splits or whatever. It's okay. It happens. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Woohoo! All right, so we're done with this swatch, and you want to know, well, what do you do now? Once you're done with something, how do you end it? So it's really simple. So you have this loop on your hook, and like you normally would, and what you're gonna do, I usually just do it like this. I just yarn over, and I'm just gonna chain 1, okay, and then you're gonna leave yourself a tail, and you're gonna cut, and then what you basically do, because you already have this chain here on your hook, is you just gonna pull that all the way through, and it kind of locks onto itself. Okay, so let me go ahead and undo that, and it kind of knots it. I'm gonna undo it, and I'm gonna zoom in and show you. Okay, so again, what we're gonna do, you get to really see my hands here. So I'm actually gonna go out and do this last stitch with you again. So okay, we're at 19, and then we're gonna go into this last stitch, yarn over, 3 loops, bring it through, and then you're gonna chain 1, and then again you would snip your yarn, leaving a tail. You chain 1, and you're just gonna pull that up, and then just kind of yank on this, push that down, and there you go. That's how you end it. Now, let me see if I have, yep, I still have it here, my yarn needle, or what is it called again? Tapestry needle, I guess. Okay, so remember in my intro video I talked about this needle, it has the, the big eye on it. So this is our starting tail. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come down here, and sometimes what I do is I fold the yarn over the head or the eye of the needle and kind of pinch it, and then I slip the needle off to kind of get the yarn, and then I feed it through the eye of the hook. Sometimes, and usually that helps, because trying to do it with all these different plies, it's kind of hard. So that's how I thread the needle. And then what I do, and again with this stitch, there isn't a right or a wrong side. But if you did have something that had a right and a wrong side, you would definitely want to do this on the wrong side or the back side. And so basically what you're going to do is you're just going to kind of go back through the stitches, and if you can, go in between the different plies of the yarn, kind of like separate them if you can. And I just go one way, okay, and then I kind of turn. I don't know if you saw that, but I flipped this like that, and then I pull it. When you're pulling it through, don't pull too tight because you don't want to distort your project. But I just go like that, and then I'm going to kind of come back this way, a little bit above where I just was, and come through those stitches again, and you're just kind of burying it in between your stitches, okay? And then again, pull, but don't pull too tight to where you distort your project. And then they always say 3 is the magic number. So, and again, I don't know, I always like to turn it, my project, the way that I'm pushing the needle. I don't know, that's just me. I guess you don't really have to. And then I just go through some more, and then do that. And then all you're gonna do is I just kind of smooth it all out and stretch it a little bit, and then I trim close to the project, but make sure not to cut your project. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this other tail. And a key note when you have tails to weave in, or you're crocheting and know that you're going to have a tail, make sure you leave something that's long enough, because I don't know how many times I've been working on something and I'll cut the yarn too short. It's always better to have a longer tail than a short tail, because I've tortured myself. So that's my tip of the day. Leave your tails long, and you want to make sure that you're not poking through to the front side, okay? So let me save you the trouble and just tell you, leave yourself longer tails. I don't want it to show, so I'm going to come back up underneath these stitches here again. Okay, it's easier for me to do it this way. It's just the way that my brain works. And again, just kind of go through. Okay. And there you have it. That's how you weave in tails. Basically, you just want to secure it so that they don't come out. Okay. So there's our swatch of the half double crochets. It looks like my tension was a little bit, it's pretty close. Now, I will mention, this is the single crochet and this is the half double crochet. This is 20 stitches by 20 rows, okay? And as you can see, I didn't do 20 rows of the half double, okay? And as you can see, it's poking out, but that's okay. I believe I did, let's see if I can count this properly. I'm on camera now, so it's a true test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, I should have done one more. It could have been 15 rows. So I did 14 rows, and as you can see, if I would have done 20, it would have been more shown, because again, the half double crochet is kind of a step up from the single crochet, so it'll be taller. And then when we do the double crochet in the next video, that stitch will be even taller, so it'll be taller than the single and the half double. And then after the double crochet, there's the treble crochet, and I don't really like that stitch, but it's used a lot in shawls and different things. It's a very tall open stitch, and it's like the tallest, I believe, stitch that there is. And then after we do the treble crochet, We'll do some stitch variations because like right now I have you working in both loops of the stitch. So there are ways to work into the just the front loop and just the back loop, and it kind of gives you a different type of a look. But we'll go more in depth after we get through the treble crochet. And then my plan is to like go through all of the basic stitches. So the single, the half double, the double, and the treble are like your three basic, well, and the slip knot. No, not the slip, yeah, the slip stitch, not the slip knot, the slip stitch. Sorry, had a brain thing there for a second. We're going to go through some more other basic stitches and stitch combos, and then I'm going to move into some more detailed stitches. And again, these are just stitches because when you're working on a certain project, it'll tell you like the different stitch that you're going to be using. And once you have mastered these pretty basic stitches, you can probably do any type of Afghan or clothing or any type of project, but I will go over some stitches. I have like over 200 just general stitches. And then even if you wanted to do a sampler, like take all these squares that you're making and make like a sampler Afghan, we'll go over how to sew things together and how to seam. And you can like sew all these together if you wanted to put them all into a blanket. But you're off to a great start. Like I said, just keep practicing. And you don't, I mean, if you don't want to make a square like this, just keep do like I said in the first video, just do a long chain and then work back in either all single or half double crochets, and just work back and forth on that long chain and get your tension down and get your you know basically get your tension down, because that's a big part of crochet is tension control. And just work back and forth. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Any questions, comments, concern, please leave it down in the comments section below. And I will see you in our next video, which will be going over the double crochet. Have a great day. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.